Yeah.
It's great.
And I think it's part of what made the first two Home Alone movies so memorable.
Mm-hmm. Or Marvin Harry.
As opposed to the third and fourth one, where they had different actors for
both.
They were horrible.
And I think the fourth one might have had Marv, but it was a different actor.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same.
Yeah.
They're great villains when you don't think like if I said think of a villain, you wouldn't think of Marvin Harry.
No,
but they're hilarious. You do go, especially in the first one, they get.
Oh, and they are villains,
right?
Yeah,
and they get the kid, and they're like, oh crap, they're gonna get him, and then the creepy guy with the shovel shows up. But that's okay.
And then they straight up say, "We're gonna kill you."
Yeah, for real. And so, but I think they're great. And
I want to watch that movie now.
I'm really happy you guys are with me on this. I didn't think you would disagree, but I thought it would be like, what? So I love this. I love this.
Yeah.
Well, I'll start with I'll go with my fourth, so that and we'll go back around.
Cool.
Hang on, let me pull up my list. I remember all of them that are on there, but I don't remember the actual order.
Yeah.
Number 4. Darth Vader.
Okay.
For me.
4.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love Star Wars. And we've talked about that I love even the new trilogy, which isn't a trilogy yet. It's only 2 movies, but
sure.
And it's apparently supposed to be 4 movies.
They actually do need that. I was talking to was I talking to you about it? The fact that the way they left off in the last one, I honestly said I think you need a new trilogy
after this
in order to actually do something now. Like if you just do one, it'll be a letdown. So.
But Vader, so Vader was probably the first villain that I experienced, you know what I mean, in a cinema way. The first, real villain that the first one that I actually consciously thought of as a villain. I mean, I've seen Disney movies and stuff like that, but the first villain that I really thought of, and that made him be on my list, and he's an iconic villain, but he is not menacing enough for me. Like, I look at him and I go, yes, he's powerful. And especially if you know the comics and the books and stuff, which are now all legend anyway, but you know he's powerful, but to be honest, I never feared for Luke.
Really?
Never truly feared for Luke.
Huh.
Never feared for Leia. Never feared for the rebellion.
Now, how much of this is because of the fact that all of us grew up with these films?
Well, I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
So he made my list because he is an iconic villain and a great villain, but I in my mind, he's not a great foil for Luke, and the fact that he turns back to the light knocks him down on my list. I considered putting Palpatine on this list and not Vader, because Palpatine is truly a villain, while Vader...
He's actually on my list.
Yeah.
Palpatine?
Yeah.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
What about you? So I had Vader as number 4. I think... Do all of us... Do you have Vader?
No.
Do you have Vader?
I do.
Do you have Vader?
I do not.
So only Drucker and I have Vader. That's interesting. Who do you have as 4?
Moby Dick. The great white whale.
Frickin' whale.
Yeah. Wow, language. Yeah, the whale. Moby Dick. Look. I said I wanted a villain.
Is there a Moby Dick movie?
There is. There's several. So
there is.
I've never even heard of these.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch
That's
them.
because nobody's watched them.
I did.
Except for Zach.
Chris Hemsworth was in one recently.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Nobody watched it.
No, it wasn't called Moby Dick, but so the great.
It did go straight to video as well.
Did it?
Did it really? Oh, nice.
All right. So either way, Moby Dick
Anyway, Moby Dick
bites off a guy's leg.
He does.
That's pretty menacing.
Yeah.
Even though whales wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, he represents, to me, it represents the existential dread of what life means, and if we don't have meaning, then what do we do? And then we find that one thing in our lives that we're going to chase.
Can I remind you that this is a podcast where we don't go deep.
Yeah, this is really deep.
This is really deep, and I'm sad for my life.
You're confusing us.
This
Not
is a
your life, my
psychological
life.
thriller.
I know.
We've just lost all of our viewers.
Everyone's just shutting down. No, I mean, and then when I talk, and in half tongue in cheek, I talked about you want a villain that you fear for the heroes when they're in the room.
Yeah.
And you do.
Because
Moby
Dick
Dick. I wouldn't expect Moby Dick to be a villain. You would see like the Megalodon maybe.
Okay.
I gotta be honest. When you said Moby Dick, my first thought was Mowgli from
the Jungle Book.
The Jungle Book. And I was like,
man,
what?
That child is a monster.
Actually, did you guys watch the new Jungle Book movie?
Yeah, the live action one.
Oh yeah, that's creepy.
It was stupid.
Anyway,
please continue.
No, what was I saying? I see it as I remember why I removed. Okay, I see it as the same sort of existential dread that's inspired by Cthulhu or anything like that.
Okay.
Because there's no malice behind what they're doing. They're just a force of nature, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
Yeah, and you are going to die if you run across it. But the only reason you're not dead is because they haven't noticed you yet. That's all. I like that stuff. So yeah.
Wow. Drucker, who's your number 4?
My number 4 was Dr. Octopus.
Okay.
From Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
Played
by Joe Pesci.
No.
Played by the guy who was...
Oh my gosh, I just blanked on his name.
Joe Pesci.
Alfred Molina.
Yeah.
Alfred Molina.
Sorry, I blanked on his name first.
But imagine Joe
Raiders.
Pesci playing him.
Yeah.
The guy from what?
Raiders of the Lost Ark, the one who has the spider on his back? Yep.
He dies at the very beginning of that movie.
Yeah. Well, most people do.
I think Doc Ock is a forgotten villain. And I think Spider-Man 2 is a forgotten movie at times. Because...
What movie?
Spider-Man 2.
What movie?
Spider-Man 2.
Are we talking about a movie?
It is a forgotten movie.
You mean The Amazing Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Are you talking about
The Amazing.
Don Giovanni as...
No.
Not Don Giovanni, that's not the name.
We try to forget...
speaking?
I think I'm having a stroke.
Exactly. We try very
You're
hard.
sitting there rubbing your arm. I think I'm having a stroke.
I'm pretty sure everyone tries really hard to forget the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
I tried
I
to
actually
forget
like the
it.
first one.
Hey, the Phillies are up 6-1 with the bases loaded in 2 outs.
God.
Now that you said that, we're going to lose. No, I think Spider-Man 2 is a forgotten movie because of the MCU.
Yeah.
And the MCU is great.
And the Amazing Spider-Man movies, which, while not as good, are the most, not most recent, but...
They're the new nostalgic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember 5 years ago when The Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out.
Was that long ago?
It wasn't even that. It might have been like 4.
Jeez.
It came out the same year
time
as
Avengers.
Winter Soldier.
Yeah, sorry, so 2013.
Sorry,
so it was 5
movie.
years ago,
Poor
yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
That stood no chance.
No, it didn't.
It came out in between Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy.
That stood no chance. So Dr. Octopus, continue. And I will say, I won't say he's my third, so he's my next one anyway. So basically everything Drucker's going to say is what I will say about him.
I thought he was a pretty sympathetic villain. He's just trying to do something good. And
then his fake arms take over.
Yeah, and he's not really in control of himself.
Yeah.
They're whispering in his ear.
And
it would be like if I jumped on top of Zach.
With your arms.
Wrapped your arms. I mean, you wrapped your arms around him.
I mean, if you did that, I would be convinced. You'd be like, we should go steal something. We should go steal something.
Throw this car through a diner. I love it.
And I just liked how he fit into the story.
He did. It was deep. And William Dafoe was a great Goblin.
And Green Goblin almost cracked my list.
But Doc Ock in that movie was incredible. And I didn't appreciate it when I was a kid and it came out nearly as much as I appreciate it now.
I'm actually hoping that they bring him into the Sinister Six
to play.
And
Dr. I would love to see someone like Mark Hamill play Doc Ock.
See, I think Hamill would be a better
Mysterio.
Joker. Or not Joker. I do think he'd be a great Joker. No, my brain just... Oh, Green Goblin. I think he'd be a better Green Goblin. Now, I would be okay if they brought back William Dafoe, but...
No, yeah, that's right. Willem Dafoe was in his 50s. I mean, Mark Hamill's not even 60.
No, but Mark Hamill's kind of big, too. And
he can lose weight. He dropped weight already.
Everybody can lose weight.
Yeah.
Except for me. I can't.
No, same.
I bought a treadmill, but, who knows if I'll be on it or if it'll just be a coat rack.
You don't even know where it is.
That's because I don't have a truck yet to get it to my house.
I wanted to mention Doc Ock because I feel like he's a villain a lot of people forget about because we forget about those
fight scene on the train is one of the best fight scenes in superhero movies.
Incredible
fight scene.
And I think one thing with a lot of those movies is they didn't use a lot of CGI back then
because it wasn't good.
It was all stunts.
Yeah, the arms look great.
Yes, they did.
The arms weren't CGI.
No.
The arms were props that were built.
Practical effects.
And it was just amazing what they did back then.
And there was no upside down kissing scene.
Yes.
Now, on a side note,
which is actually,
watch it again?
I believe it's actually the most popular kissing scene though of all cinema.
Well, it has. What, is Kirsten Dunst? Is that
Kirsten Dunst and Tobey Maguire?
Tobey Maguire. She's upside down and all wet and.
Yeah, Kirsten Dunst and Tobey Maguire are the two hotties you think of when you think Hollywood.
He almost drowned filming that scene.
Did he really?
Because he was upside
with the water. He almost drowned filming that.
He was upside down? I thought oh, yeah, that's true. He was.
He's Spider-Man.
My brain was like, she's upside down hanging there, and he's kissing her.
What a jerk!
His girlfriend
is hanging upside down.
He's not his girlfriend yet. He's busy stalking her. That's the only reason he can save her.
Well, it gets so much dark if you flip that just a little bit. It gets like, I'm now uncomfortable with this.
He's hung a girl upside down and is kissing her.
Oh, that's so awful.
This movie is not as good.
In the web.
This is terrible. Who's your number 4? Tony, who's your number 4?
In my number 4, I went with the cerebral killer, Freddy Krueger.
Okay.
I did.
Horror movie. Probably the best.
Slightly better than Terminator.
No, he's just cerebral. And I was like, oh, Terminator.
Well, yeah. Well, I figured
probably the best horror movie villain
franchise. Huge.
Well, and I'm not a slasher movie fan.
Yeah.
But probably he's probably the best one of the. I mean, you got Jason, you got him. Do you have anybody else?
I had number
Michael
6.
Myers.
Mike
Myers and Leatherface actually were tied for number 6 for me.
6?
Yeah.
But
Jigsaw? Does that count?
He's not a slasher. Jigsaw
he is by a proxy.
Yeah.
Well, he's also a lot of other things by a proxy. Also dead.
Aren't we all?
No, I'm not a slasher by a proxy.
No,
I have not ordered anyone to be slashed.
You've never seen him in church.
Standing up there with the glove on.
Welcome to the church.
What about the theory that
Hello, everyone.
Kevin and Home Alone grew up to become that?
Oh, that's perfect. That makes so much sense.
That'd be awesome.
I heard a good.
And so that makes Marvin and Harry
the victims.
No, victims, but also heroes. They're trying to stop this from
Oh,
happening.
They're
trying to. Oh, yeah! I love it.
We have now solved it. Thank you very much for watching.
Accepted.
This is the movie that we're going to make.
Marvin and Harry.
Now, how old were you when you first saw Freddy Krueger?
Oh my gosh!
And did it scare you? Because to be frank, those movies, the first Friday the 13th movies, and the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, if you watch them now, they're not incredibly terrifying.
Yes.
Especially when compared with some of the other stuff that has come out.
True.
But I know they were scary when they first came out. So for you, what was it that makes him so iconic for you?
For me, well, I watched the not necessarily the series, but the movie series throughout my
Nightmare
childhood.
on Elm Street.
And I love horror movies. I love the.
You a fan of Freddy vs. Jason? It's the first horror movie I ever saw, and I went, "This is supposed to be scary."
That was mine too. Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, that was a
Zach,
horrible
we're breaking
movie.
new ground here.
I know it's nuts.
But
That means you guys can start hating each other. Come on.
Yeah.
That's why we bring you here.
Let's just say that if you get into the first 4 movies, they're actually pretty decent for horror movie genre.
Yeah.
In the 80s, yeah.
In the 80s, it was absolutely perfect. You were afraid to go to sleep at night. And
I am now, so that,
well,
I am now too, but it's not because I'm afraid of my dreams.
Oh, is it not?
He's afraid his cats are going to kill him.
I did wake up this morning with my one cat on top of my face, and I'm like, is he trying to love me, or is he trying to suffocate me?
Yes, he is.
Oh, that's great. I have a cat scarf.
They're trying to do
like an anaconda starting to choke you.
They've got like a Weekend at Bernie's plans. They suffocate you. They do like the Weekend at Bernie's body thing. Yes. They buy all the catnip.
That'd be great.
That's a 3-step
My
plan.
cats have not had catnip yet.
Really?
I'm thinking
This
about
is why.
soon.
Sam gets up on the podium, and all of a sudden it's like, meow.
They're just baby kitties. They don't need catnip.
This
yet.
is why they're trying to smother
This is
you.
like giving marijuana to a 5-year-old.
Oh yeah.
Smoke it. Just smoke it. What are you doing?
Is that you're not supposed to...
Zach, we need to have a lot of
You don't give marijuana to your children?
Now, what are we on? Number 3? Who's your number 3?
Number 3, I went with Sauron.
Okay.
Sauron?
You
Let's
say words
it
weird,
right.
Tony.
No, I said Sauron.
No, you said Sauron. Like you're soaring on an eagle.
Why not?
It's Sauron.
Sauron.
Like sauerkraut?
I picked sauerkraut as my own number 3 villain.
Me too. That's a good choice. I seriously considered him or Sauron for my list. Neither of them made it, but
No, me and Zach were talking earlier, and we're like, oh man, you gotta pick somebody from the Lord of the Rings because it was good versus evil. It was
Eagles.
a great, huge.
And actually, but here's the thing: I would make the case that the Nazgul are more menacing villains than Sauron or Sauron.
Do you want to know something funny? My third pick is the Witch King.
So all right, so let's just talk about that right now. Since it's Lord of the Rings, yours isn't a Lord of the Rings, is it? We'll come to you then.
Right.
So let's just talk about that right now. But I agree. While Sauron is obviously everybody's scared of him,
it's sauerkraut. Okay.
Yeah,
we're gonna refer to him as sauerkraut.
It is the Nazgul throughout, especially the first movie and then the third movie, where you go, are our heroes going to be able to defeat these things?
Yeah. I mean, their introduction. You want to talk about lasting
Weathertop?
impact? weather top, and then you put the ring on. You see what they look like underneath the robes.
And then the chase scene with
especially in the prancing pony where they're stabbing to bed.
Oh my goodness, that scene for me as a kid. Yeah,
those villains are so mad. It's just a black cloak with nothing underneath it.
Yes.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, and I mean, and with the Witch King, there's a certain
of Agbar.
Yeah, and even when you don't know who he is, he's always the